Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello guys, welcome to Tech 45 Degree, and in this video we will try to understand Python object and data structure. In this lecture we will explore object and data structures in Python. We will explore below topics such as variables, numbers and their types, Boolean, string, list, tuple, sets and dictionaries. So what are variables? Variables are containers to store data and it gets created once a value assigned to it. For example, we have a variable called text rate and that the value is 15. In Python, we don't need to declare variable types. So as you know, in Java or other language, we declare the variable types such as string variable or integer or float or decimal, right? But in Python, we don't need to declare its type. So once a value is assigned to a variable, its type is finalized. So for example, we have three variables called name, quantity, and unit price. And the name is John, quantity contain the value 55, and unit price is 23.56. And if I execute this cell, the variables are created in the memory. And here we are calling the print function on those variables to print the values these variables contains, right? So as you can see, the name is John, quantity 55, and unit price is 23.56, right? So unlike other languages, we can change the variable types in Python. So for example, the type of the unit price is float, right? And we are calling the type function to print the type of the unit price, right? And the unit price contains the value called 23.56. So when I execute type function on top of unit price, it prints its type, that is float. And here I am changing the unit price value as 1,000. So 1,000 is an integer. So once I have assigned a new value to the unit price and then I print the type of this unit price, so as you can see, it contains the integer type, right? And if I print the unit price value right now, so it is 1,000. And now let's try to understand the naming convention. So following rules should be considered while naming variables. How these are not hard rules to follow. So when we are creating a variables, so these are some rules that we should follow, and these are considered a good practice while naming the variables. So the first rule is variable name should not start from the numbers. For example, 34 price, right? And the second rule is no spaces in names. We can use underscores instead of spaces. For example, we have a variable that contains a two word that is first name, right? And we can separate them by underscores. Or we can use camel notation in the name. For example, first name, right? So as you can see, the first character of the second word is capital, right? So that is the camel notation. Now the third rule is to avoid special characters in the name. So we have some special characters and we have to avoid them. Only use underscores or hyphens. Other than these special characters, we should have to avoid them, right? While naming the variables. The fourth rule is it is considered best case to use lowercase letters. So the variable names should be in lowercase, right? And also we should not use reserved keywords in naming. For example, list, sets, and strings. So these are some reserved keywords, and these keywords are reserved by Python language. So we should avoid these keywords while naming the variables, right? And also, this is very important rule that we have to use meaningful variable names to keep track of the variable. So while naming the variable, name it with a meaningful words, right? So you can keep track of these variables. And now let's go here and we have to do some operation on the variables. So here we have two variables called unit price and quantity, right? So we have defined these variables here, that is unit price and quantity, right? So quantity is 55, and then we have unit price, but we override unit price with a new value that is 1000, and we are going to do a multiplication on these two variables and assign a result to a new variable. So when we do the operation on two variables, it will create a new variable, right? And then we will print its result. So now let's run these cells, right? So as you can see, we get the result of 55,000 because in unit price we have 1000 and the quantity is 55. So when we do the multiplication, it created new variable that is net price, and here we are printing the results, right? Now let's try to understand number and its type. In Python, we have different type of numbers, but we will focus on integer and float in this lecture, okay? So we have different type of numbers, but we will focus on integer and float type. So integers are just whole numbers that is are in positive or negative. For example, 5 or -1. So these are integers. And floats are positive and negative real numbers with fractional part denoted by decimal or scientific notation such as e, right? So here we have different floats. As you can see, these are with the decimal, right? 34.56, 65.6656, and then we have 3e4, right? So these are considered as a float, but integers are a whole number. So here we will create some variables, that is quantity, and we have assigned a value called to it, and then we have another variable called unit price, and we have assigned 2.5 to it, right? And here we are calling the type function to print its type. So the type function is used to print the type of the variable, and here we are using the print function to print the type of this variable, right? And here we are doing the multiplication on quantity and unit price and create a new variable, and here we are printing the result, and here we are printing the type of the new variable. So quantity will be integer, that is because of this is the whole number, and the unit price will be float, right? And when we multiplying the quantity and unit price, so it will give us the result of 5. Net price, that will be 5, but integer and float, when they do the multiplication, so it will generate another float, right? So as you can see, the result is 5.0 and its type is float. So when we do the multiplication on integer and float, so it will create another variable with a type of float, okay? So these are the number. And here we have a task, and in this task we have to calculate the area, okay? And here in this task we have to calculate the area of a rectangle having length of 15 centimeter and width is 10 centimeter. So use variable assignment and perform calculation using variables and also display the result. So here in this task we are going to create a two variables, that is length, I will say LENGTH is equal to 15 and width will be 10, right? So here we have created two variables with the value 10 and 50, and now here we have to perform the calculation. So I will say length into width, right? And because we are going to calculate the area, so the formula of area is length into width. And here I will create another variable and assign the result to this variable, right? And let me remove this space. If I run this cell, so area is created, and now I will print the result of area, right? So as you can see, length into width give us the area of 150, right? So we are calling the print function to print the area, or we can call the area variable only without the print function, and it will also print the result is 150, right? And here now let's try to print its type, and if I run this one, so it print its type is integer. That is because in this both variables we have a type of integer. So length is in integer and width is in integer, so it generate the variable of a type of integer. But as you can see in this task, so we have a quantity integer and unit price is in float. So it print the result as a float, right? Let me remove this one. I think, yeah. So we are good. And now let's try to understand Booleans. In Python, we have Boolean that are predefined values true or false. So we will create a variable called a is equal to assign true and b is equal to false. Okay, so we have created two Boolean variables that contain true and false. And now let's call the print function on top of these variables. And I will say print a and print b to print the variables. And now in Boolean, we can also create a Boolean variable by comparison to operators, two or more than two operators. So for example, I have a variable c, and if I say 4 greater than 5, okay, so if I run it and now if I print the result, so it says false. So we did operation on two variables and it created another variable of a type Boolean, right? And if I change it to 4 less than equal to 5, so it gave us the result true. Okay. Booleans can also be displayed as 1 or 0 if we typecast it to integer. So we have a variables called a and b and both are Booleans. So if I let me create another cell and here let me print its type of a. So as you can see, these are bool variables, right? And a contains true and b contains false. And now I'm going to cast it to the integer. So for casting, I will say int, and here inside int function, I will pass the variable, boolean variable. And if I run it, so it prints as a 1. So true will be casted to 1 and false will be casted to 0. So because a is equal to true and b is equal to false, so when we cast it to the integer, so the true is casted to 1 and false is casted to 0. So this is how we can change our variable from Boolean to the integer by changing its type. Now let's go and try to understand the strings. So string represented sequence of characters, for example, John, computer, I am hungry, hello world. So all of these words are strings. And strings are always in double quotes or in single quote. So as you can see, we have a sentence here. This is single quoted string. So this is a sentence and this is a single quoted string because it is enclosed in single quote. And we can create a string with the double quote also. So as you can see, this sentence is enclosed with the double quote. So both of them are strings, right? So as you can see, we are creating a strings. And here we just create a string, but we didn't assign these strings to any variable. Strings are immutable, so once a value is assigned to it, it cannot be changed. So immutable objects are those objects that cannot be changed. So for example, we have a string variables here, first name, last name, address, and company. And we assign some string values to it. That is John Doe 8123 King Road KSA and company is Tech 45 degree. And this John is a double quoted string because this string is enclosed in double quoted, and the Doe is a single quoted string. Also the address is double quoted string and the company is single quoted string. So if I run this cell, so we have created some string variables. And now to print this string, we can call the first name, and in single cell, we cannot print the both strings together. So it will print only the last variable. So print both of them, I have to call the print function on both variables. So that is the use of the print function. And here I will say print also. this last name, and if I execute it, so as you can see, it print the both variables, that is the first name and last name. And now let's print the address and also the company. So here we can print all the variables by calling the print function in a single cell. And here we have to be very careful about the codes. Okay, so when we are creating a string, so as you can see, these I am hungry, and we have used a single quote, right? So it will give us the error, right? So as you can see, undetermined string literal detected at line 2. So we have used a single. So create such kind of strings, we have to enclose it in a double quoted. So as you can see, I have a string called I am hungry, and here I have used a single quote, but the whole string is enclosed inside a double quote. So we can create these kind of strings if it contains apostrophe of comma, right? And we can concatenate strings by using the plus operator. So for example, I have a string called first name and last name, so I will concatenate it and assign it the result to a new string. So here let's create a string called full name, and the full name contain first name and last name. So here, as you can see, I'm concatenating the both string by using the plus operator and assigning the result to a full name, right? So if I run this cell now, if I say full name, so as you can see, the both strings are concatenated. And let me put a space between these two words, and this is how I will do it, right? Sorry. So here I have to put a space, right? So as you can see, we have a space between these two words. So what I did, I concatenate 3 strings here, and here I have put an empty space, right? And assign the result to a third variable called full name and printed the full name. Also, we can do some we can use this string, this full name, by 5 times. So here I will say full name, and by using this multiplication and multiply it by 5, so it will print the name as 5 times. So that is, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is 4, and this one is 5. Okay, and let me print the first name by 5 times. Okay, so as you can see, the first name is John, and it print the John 5 times, right? And similarly, if you want to print it 10 times, right, so it print the first name as a 10 time by multiplying it with the integer. And now let's try to determine the variable types. And to determine the variable types, we have a function called type, and in this function, if we pass the variable, for example, the first name, so it print its type as a string, right? And let me do it. So the print function, as you can see, it print the type, it contains a class of string. And now let's me print the type of a, and a, as you remember, a as a type of Boolean, right? So it is a Boolean, right? And here let me create another variable called I will say age, and it will be 23. And if I want to print its type, and I would call a type function, and I will pass the age, so it prints its age, right? And now the price will be of a I will say 2.5. Oh, sorry, not a print, I have to name it as a price. Okay, and here let me create a cell, and now let's print its type as a, I will say, price. So its type is float, so because it is a float value. So type function is used to print the type of the variable. Okay, so for the string, the type will be string. For Boolean, the type will be Boolean. And for integer, the type is integer, and price is type is float, right? For the type of float. Okay, so these are some basic about variables, numbers, Boolean, and strings, right? So if you have any confusion till now, kindly leave your comment in the comment section. And if you haven't subscribed my channel, kindly subscribe my channel and also click on the bell icon. And now we will explore list, tuple, sets, and dictionaries. So let's go on the list section. So I will scroll down and here I am. So lists are containers to hold multiple objects. Lists are mutables, so it can be changed. Lists are represented by square brackets. So these are some properties of the list. So lists are the containers to hold multiple objects. Till now we were using variables, and variables contained only one object, right? So if we have multiple objects, so we can create a container as a type of list, and it contains multiple objects. Okay, and it is recognized by a square bracket, and lists are mutable. So once it is created, it can be changed. So here I have a list called my friends, and it contains the name of my friend, that is John, Mickey, Kyle, and Damon. So these are some values these contained by a list called my friend. So if I run this cell, it creates a my friend list, and here I can print the list. So as you can see, my friends contains John, Mickey, Kyle, and Damon. And if I want to see what is my friend, right, so I will say my friends and put double question mark. And if I execute this, so it will give me the definition of this variable, this variable of type list. So it is a type of list. It contains these values, and the length is 4. So it is because this list contains 4 values. So that is why it is a length of 4. Okay. So if you want to see any variable, and for example, if I make another cell here, and if I want to see what is price, right? So I can use double question mark, and it will give me the definition of this variable, that is, it is a what kind of type, right? So it is a float type. It contains a value of 2.5. And here it is a convert to a string or number to a floating point number if possible. So it is just a definition, okay? Doc string, okay? And let me close this one. Okay, so let's go back on the list topic. So this is how I can create a list with a square bracket, and inside this square bracket I can assign the values, okay? And here it is how I can print the list. I can also call the print function. Let me correct this one, and if I call the print function on this list, so it print the list. Okay, indexing. So indexing on the list is to pick element from a specific index. We define index inside a square bracket. So all these values in the list are on some index or some place, or we can say or at some position, and this position is called the index. Okay, and the indexing in list is start from a 0. So this element or this name, right, John, is at position 0, okay, inside this list, and we can pick this element by passing a index inside a square bracket. So for example, if I want to pick this John, okay, so I will call my friends, and inside this square bracket I will pass the position or the index, and here if I pass the index 0, so it gives me the value John, because the John is at index 0. And now if I want to grab the element at index 2, so I will say my friend, and inside the square bracket I will pass the index number, and it give me the name that is at index. Okay, so it, as you can see, Kyle is at position 2. So from 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? And now slicing. Slicing is used to slice list into sublist, and that can be achieved by colon inside a square bracket. Okay, so here we have a list called my friend, and now I want to slice this list. So I want to grab everything from 1, and 1 is included. So if I want to slice this, and it can be done by this square bracket, and inside this square bracket, I have to pass the colon. So inside this colon, from the left of this colon, we have a start, and right side is the limit. Okay, so it will be the end. So the slice will start from here and it will end it here. Okay, so here if I want to grab everything from 1 and 1 is included, so I will pass index position here, and here I will leave it infinity. Okay, so because I want to grab everything till the end, so I will not pass anything on the right side of the column. So if I run this one, so it print everything from 1 to end, that is Mickey, Kyle and Damon, right? Now let's grab everything from up to, let's grab everything up to 2. Okay, and 2 will be excluded. So here now on the left side, I will grab everything. So I will not pass anything on the left side, but I will limit it to the till 2. So it will grab everything till 2. Okay, so as you can see, we have printed everything, that is John and Mickey, and the position is 2 is Kyle. So 2 is excluded. So it grabbed everything up to 2, that is John and Mickey, right? And now let's grab the last element. So I want to grab the last element, and here I will just pass -1 inside the square bracket without colon, and it will give me the last element, that is Damon. So for example, if we have a kind of big list and we don't know how many items it contains, so we just pass -1, it will give us the last element. Okay, and now grab everything up to last element. Last is excluded. So I will say my friend, and inside this I will pass the colon, and inside this colon, so I will grab everything till last element. So here I will pass -1. So it print everything up to last element, and the last one is excluded. So in the last, it contains a Damon. So as you can see, we contain everything till last, but the last one is excluded. And now let's change element at 2 and print entire list. So for example, at 2, we have a name Kyle, and we will change it, okay, with a new name. Because lists are mutable, so we can change the list. Okay, so I have a list called my friend, and at position 2, I want to assign a new name, and I will say James. Okay, and let's print the entire list. Okay, let me correct this one. Okay, so yeah, we are all good. So if I execute it, so as you can see, we have a list called John, Mickey, James and Damon. So we have replaced Kyle with the James. So that makes our list as a mutable. So because once we created a list, we can change it. And now change element at 1 with integer and print entire list. So at 1 we have a Mickey, we will change it with some integer value. So I will say my friend, and inside my friend at position 1, I will change it to 55. Okay, and now let's print the entire list. So we have changed Mickey with the value 55. Now checking the type of the list. So we have a function called type, and it gives us the type, and inside this type I will pass the my friends, which is a list. So it gives us that it is a type of list. And if I want to print the type of these elements, okay, if I want to see this element, what kind of its type, so for that I will use type function, and inside this my type I will call my friends, and here I have to print the type of a third element. So I will pass 3 index. Okay, so it gives us that at 3 index it contains a type of string. Okay, and now let's print the type of the first element, and here I will pass 1. So it print the int, because at 1 position we have a 55, so it is a type of integer. And now let's go and do some concatenation on the list. So list can be concatenated by a plus operators. So here I will create a new list. Okay, I will say my best friends. So I have one more list, that is my best friend of list, and in this list it will contain the name of my best friends. So I will say Damon and Kyle, right? So this is the new list, right? So I will say my best friend. So I have created a one more list that is contains two values, that is Damon and Kyle, and I have a previous list of my friends, and it contains John, 55, James, and Damon. So for 55, I will change its value to the again I will change its for example, let me change its value to some name, right? Maybe Doy, okay, and let me print it my friends list. So this list is contains four values called John, Doe, James, and Damon, and my best friend contains Damon and Kyle, right? So I have two lists, that is my best friend and my friends. And now let me concatenate both of these lists. So for that I will say I will create another list called friends, and my best friend will be concatenated with my friends, okay, and then let me print it. So as you can see, my best friend contains Damon and Kyle, and my friends contain John, Todd, James, and Damon, and both of these lists we have concatenated and create a new list called friends. And when I print it, so it contains these 6 values. So it contains the duplicated values, that is Damon, right? So Damons are in both lists, okay? And if I do like this way, let me describe this friend list. So it contains the values, that is 6. So we have created a new list by concatenation 2 list, okay? And now here I have one more list of house prices, and it contains some integer type of values, 12, 54, 22, 76, and 50. Let me run this cell to create a house prices list, okay? And here I will multiply the list, okay? I will say house price into 2. So as you can see, when I did multiplication, it multiply the whole list and make it as a 2 times. So as you can see, it contains this 12, 55, 22, 76, 55, and again 12, 54, 22, 76, and 50. Okay, so it created the list as a multiple times. So if I multiply it with 5, so again it create this list 5 times, right? Yeah, as you can see. Okay, so to multiply an element inside this list, what we can do, we can call house prices, and we can take the element, right? For example, I want to take the element at index 2. At index 2 we have 22, and I will multiply it with the 3. So it multiplied with the 66. So at index 2 we have 22, and when I did the multiplication, I multiplied it with 3, so it multiplied the value 66, right? Here is the value 66. In list we have some built-in operations. So for example, I have this list of my friends, right? And if let me create a cell here, and let me print this my friend list. So it contains these 5 values. Let me print let's do the operation on my best friend list, okay? So at my best friend list contains 2 values, that is Damon and Kyle. And to add new item in this list, right? So I will call my best friends, and it contains some operations. These are append, clear, copy, count, extend, index, insert, pop, remove, reverse, sort. So these are all different operations on the list, but we will use some of these operations. And to add a new item inside this my best friend, I will call the append function, and inside and in this append function, right, I will add a name called James, right, and then I will print the my best friend list. So as you can see before, we have my best friend. It contains Damon and Kyle. When I call the append function and add new name in this my best friend, so it contains the list with 3 values. Now if I want to remove an item from the list, so I will call my best friend and I will call the remove function. Okay, and this remove function, if I want to see what it do, basically it remove first occurrence of the value. Okay, so here I will pass the value. Okay, so which value I want to remove. So for example, I want to remove the name Kyle. Okay, and then let's print it, my best friend. So as you can see, I remove the Kyle, and now the list doesn't contain the value Kyle. Okay, this is how it works. And now clear the complete list. So for that, I will call my best friend and I have a function called clear. Okay, so if I call this clear function, okay, and here let's print the my best friend again. So our entire list is empty now. Okay, so here if I create a new set and let's describe this one. So as you can see, the length is 0. It doesn't contain anything, right? And now let's try to understand tuples. So tuples are very similar to list, but they are immutable. So once it is initialized, it cannot be changed. As we can see, the lists are mutable. So remember, in list we can change the values and we can add and remove the items, right? But tuples are immutable. So once it is initialized, it cannot be changed. So it means we cannot change the values inside the tuple, or we cannot add new items to the tuple. So better to use tuples for those objects that have constant values. For example, day of week or planet names. Tuples are recognized by a square bracket. Sorry, this kind of what is parenthesis? Yeah. So tuples are recognized by a parenthesis. Where a list are recognized by a square bracket, right? But the tuples are recognized by a parenthesis. So here we have a tuple called days of week, and it contains the days of a week, right? The 7 values. And as you can see, it is recognized by a parenthesis. So if I run this one, it contains the days of week as a tuple. And now let's print its type. I will say type, and here I will say type of week. So it says that it is a type of tuple. And if I describe it, so the tuple is day of week is a type of tuple. It contains these 7 values, and the length is 7, and it is a immutable. Okay, so now let's do the indexing on the tuple. So on tuple, for example, if I want to grab element at first index, so I will say day of week, and inside this square bracket, I will pass the first index, which is 0, right? So at 0, we have a value called Monday. And if I want to grab the Sunday, right, I will pass days of week, and the Sunday is at index 6, right? The last value, I can pass the 6, or I can pass days of week. As Sunday is the last value, so I will pass -1, so it will also give me the Sunday. And now let's print the Saturday. Okay, so what I can do, the Saturday is the second last value, so I will say -2, so it will give me the Saturday. So for minus only start from the last position. Okay, so this will be -1, -2, -3, and -4. So let's do -4 here, and it gives the Thursday. So this is how you can use indexing on the tuple. And now let's go and do slicing. So like this, we can slice tuples also. So we have a task to grab everything from third element. So I will pass days of week, and we will do the slicing with the colon inside the square bracket. And now let's grab everything from the third element. So from the third, I will pass third here and grab everything till the end. Okay. So from the third, it print Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay. Because 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? And now let's grab everything from third to fifth. Okay. For that, I will start from third and end it with at the position fifth. Okay. So it grab everything from third to fifth. So this is third and fourth, and the fifth is excluded. Okay. So this position will be excluded. It will not contain in the slice. Okay. And let's see how the tuples are immutable. So let's try to change the element at position 1 or index 1. So I will say days of week. Okay. And at index 1, we will try to change it with the, so index 1 contain a value called Tuesday. And here I will try to change it with the Sunday. Okay. So it gives us the error that tuple object does not support item assignment. So we cannot change the value. Okay. Change element at index 1. So we cannot change it. Okay. And now let's try to add item inside the tuple. So for that, I would say days of week. And for tuple, we don't have any append function. We have count and index function, but we don't. So we cannot add new item inside a tuple. And now let's try to explore sets. So sets are unordered lists that contain unique objects. What does it mean? So if I go on top of the list section, and here, as you can see, we have concatenated two lists and created a new list. So the new list contains daemon 2 times, right? So daemon is repeating inside the list. But in sets, it contains only the unique objects. So it means if I create a set that with the multiple or duplicated object, it will contain only the single time. Okay. We will explore this. And sets can be created by a curly bracket. So here we have a set called my cars. It contains BMW, Tesla, Hyundai, and Twitter. And it can be created by a curly brackets. Okay. So this is how we can create a set. So if I run this cell, now let's print our set, right? And if I want to check its type, I will say type my cars. So that it is a type of set with a double question mark. It is saying that this type is set. It contains 4 values. The length is 4. Okay. And set is basically unordered, right? Unordered list. Okay. So as you can see, we have created a set with a BMW, Tesla, Hyundai, and Twitter, but it doesn't contain or it doesn't maintain its order. So as you can see here, we have a Twitter at this position, Hyundai at this position, BMW at third, and Tesla at fourth position. So it doesn't maintain its order. Okay. So here we can also create a set by calling a set function. So we have created a set by a curly bracket. Also, we can create a set by a set function. Okay. So here I'm going to create a new set called my favorite color. And if I print my favorite color, it is a type of set, right? And if I print its type, my favorite color. So we have created a set. It is empty set and it is type is set, right? So we have created a new set by calling this set function. And now let's add some element inside this set. So I will say my favorite colors and I will call add function, and inside this add I will add the items. Okay. Now let me copy paste this one. Okay. And yep. And here I will change the color red and here I will say green. So inside this set, we are adding 4 colors, that is blue, red, green, and again blue. And if I execute this cell and if I print my favorite color, so it, as you can see, it contains the 3 values and all are unique, blue, green, and red. So we have added blue 2 times but set contains only unique objects, so the duplicated item, it doesn't contain the duplicated item. Okay, so it is blue, green and red. And as you can see, it doesn't maintain the order, so I add red at the second position, but the red goes on the third position, right? And if I do the question mark, so as you can see, we have red, blue and green, and it is set and its length is 3. Okay, it contains 3 values. Now let's go and do some indexing on the set. So for example, I want to grab element at position 0. So it gives me the error, right? So set object is not subscriptable. So we cannot do indexing on the set. But if we need to do that, so first of all, we need to cast it to a list. So I will cast it to a list, our set. For that, I will call list function, and inside this list function, I will pass our set. And here, outside of this parenthesis, I will grab the element at position 0. So at position 0, it gives us the red. And why it gives us the position red at position 0? Because it is unordered, but here as you can see, the set we have at position at 0, we have a blue value, right? But we get the red. This is because set is unordered. And let's grab another element, for example, my favorite colors, and position 1. Okay, so it gives us blue. And now let's do slicing. So for slicing, I will say my favorite colors, and I will grab everything from 0 to 1. Okay, and it gives me error that set object is not subscriptable. So on sets, we cannot do indexing and slicing directly. Okay, if we want to do, we have to cast it to a list. So for casting, I will call list function, and here I will pass our set. Okay, and here I will grab everything from 0 to 2. So it print red and blue, right? In sets, we can also add none values. So I will call my favorite colors, and I will call add function, and here I will add none. Okay, and then I will print my favorite color. So we can add the none values inside the set. So sets have 2 operations, that is union and update. So here we have 2 sets, that is my cars and my favorite car. And my cars contain BMW, Tesla, Hyundai and Toyota. And BMW and my favorite car contain BMW, Hyundai and Genesis. Okay, so if I run this cell, it contains these 2 sets, my car and my favorite cars. And now let's do union on both sets. So if I say my cars, and if I do union, and inside this union, I will pass my favorite car. Okay, and if I do it like this way, so it give me the union of both sets, right? But the duplicated color values will be only the single type. So as you can see, BMW, Genesis, Hyundai and Tesla and Toyota. But the union, we can do a union, okay, but it doesn't change the original set. So if I print the original set, it still contains the 4 values. Okay, when I did the union, it contains the 5 unique values, but the original set is still containing the both original values. Okay, and for update of this original set, we have a update function. So for example, if I say my cars dot update, and I will update my cars with my favorite cars, right? I will say my favorite cars, and if I do it, and if I print it, so as you can see, our original set is updated, right? So it contains these 5 values. So this is the difference between union and update inside the set. So the union do the union, but it will not update the original set. But the update function will do the union on both set, but it will also update the original set. Okay, so this is about sets. And kindly subscribe my channel. If you haven't subscribed the channel, also like the video. So your likes and your subscribes motivate us to create such nice videos for you guys. So if you haven't subscribed my channel and if you haven't liked the video, kindly subscribe the channel and click on the like button. So I need a lot of likes on this video. So now let's explore dictionary. So if you are familiar with other languages, then you can think of dictionary are like hash map. In Python, we have dictionary which contain objects in key value pair. Dictionary are also recognized by curly brackets, but they are always in key value pair. Okay, so dictionary are recognized by curly brackets, but they are in key value pair. Okay, so like hash map in Java or like JSON, right? So as you can see, this is a look like a JSON object. So we have a key and then we have a its value. Okay, so it is always in key value pair. Okay, and here we are creating a dictionary called my dictionary, and if I run this cell, it will create my dictionary, and this will we are printing the my dictionary. And here we have a key 1, and this key 1 contains a value 1, and key 2 value 2, and key 3 contain value 3. So for example, if I want to grab an element, this element value 2 by its key 2, so I have to call my dict, and here in curly bracket I have to pass the key. Okay, and it will print the value that contain key 2. So in dictionary, we have key 1 and key value 1, right? And these keys are, as you can see, we have key 1, key 2, key 3, and again key 1. So key 1 is repeating, right? So in dictionary, the keys are always in the form of sets. It means that keys are uniques. Okay, it cannot be repeated, but the values can be repeated. So for example, if I create this dictionary and if I print it, so as you can see, it contains only the 3 values, right? We have created a dictionary with 4 items, but it contains only 3 items. So we have key 1, key 2, and key 3. So what it did basically, so it created a key 1 with value 1, and again when it see key 1 with the new value, so it update this key 1 with the updated one. So here we have key 1 with the updated one, which is value 4. Okay, and in dictionary the values can be repeated. Okay, so for example, key 3 contain value 3, and then we have key 5 which contain value 3 again. Okay, and if I create this dictionary and if I print it, so as you can see, key 1 contain value 1, value 4. This is because the key 1 is updated with the new one, right? We have key 1 2 times in the key, so it is updated by the second one. And then key 2 contain value 2, and then key 3 contain value 3, and key 5 contain value 3 again. So values can be repeated in a dictionary, but keys cannot be repeated. If it finds repeated keys, it will add it only the one time. Okay, so we have added 5 items, but in this 5 item we have key 1 are 2 times, right? So when we created a dictionary, it contains only the 4 items. The key 1 is only the one time. And if I print it, so it, as you can see, we have 4 items in this dictionary, right? But we try to edit 5 items, right? So it is clear, right? Now dictionaries are mutable, so it means we can change the dictionaries. Okay, so we can change the item inside the dictionary. So here we have to change element at 2 and print the dictionary. So for example, I have my dictionary, right? And all the items in the dictionary are grabbed by its keys. Okay, so key 2 we will change it with the 5. Okay, and I will say my dictionary to print it. So as you can see, before we have at key 2 value 2, but now we have changed it with the 5. Okay, key 2 is equal to 5. So this dictionary contains some mix of values, that is string and integers, right? And if I want to do a subtract operation on element 2, so element 2 contains 5, and now I will do some subtract operation on this key 2. Okay, for that I will call my dictionary, and here I will pass the key. Okay, so key 2, and here I will -2. Okay, and now I will update my dictionary key 2. Okay, so let me do it like this way. Okay, so we are all good. So what I am doing, I am taking element at 2 and doing some subtraction on it, -2. So element 2 contains 5. When I do the -2 on it, and I update my key 2 again with the updated value. Okay, so here I will say my dictionary. So now we have updated value 3 at key 2. So I think this is clear right now. And now add new element to my dictionary and assign this to it. So for example, first of all, I will create I'm going to create a new element. I will say my dictionary, and this dictionary will have a new item called animal. This is our new key or new item, and here I will create a list, and this list contain the animals, okay, such as dog, lion. Let me do it inside a string. Yeah, lion and tiger. Okay, so here I am creating a new element that is animal, and I am assigning a list of animals. Okay, if I do it, and then I will print it. Okay, so as you can see, we have created new element that is animal, and it contains a list of animals. Okay, and if I want to print this one, okay, this one, so like let me see what it contains, what kind of type it contains. If I will call a type function, it contains the list function, list type. Okay, and if I want to print the type of key 2 contains 3, so it will give me the integer, and the key 1 will give me the string. So this is how we can print the type of each element. Now let's explore nested dictionary. So nested dictionary are a dictionary inside a dictionary. Okay, dictionary nested inside a dictionary, nested inside a dictionary. Okay, so here we have a dictionary, and inside this dictionary we have another dictionary, and inside this dictionary we have another dictionary. So this is a nested dictionary. So if I print it, so if you see, we have a dictionary, and it's contain item key 1, and key 1 is contain another dictionary, right? And if I do it like let me create a cell here, and if I say type, and inside this type we will pass, if I want to see its type, right? So as you can see, the key 1 contains another dictionary, right? So dictionary inside a dictionary is called nested dictionary. So this is how we can create a nested dictionary. Okay, so to grab an element inside a nested dictionary, we have to keep calling the keys. So for example, if I want to grab an element, all this element, right, this one, so first of all I have to grab element from here. So I will say T, and I will pass key 1, and now I will pass nest key. Okay, and if I run it, so it gives me the nested and the inner element. Okay, and now let me grab the innermost element, that is value. Okay, so for that let me copy paste this one, and here I will call another key. Okay, and I will say nested key. Okay, I think the spelling is incorrect. Yeah, subnest key. Okay, yeah. So we are good. So this is how we can grab the innermost element inside a nested dictionary. So you have to keep calling the keys to grab the element. Okay. And here we have an exercise on dictionary. So here we have two lists called one is countries and one is capital. So in countries list, we have Spain, France, Germany, Norway, and capitals. It contains the capital of these countries. Okay, that is Madrid, Paris, Berlin, and Oslo. So we have to create a dictionary from these two lists. So for that, our dictionary name will be Europe, right? So I will create a Europe dictionary, and to make to create a dictionary from these two elements, I will call dictionary function, and we have another function called zip. So it will zip the both both lists inside a dictionary. Okay, and let me print the our dictionary. So I call it Europe. So as you can see, we have created a dictionary. This value is Spain, where the key is Spain, and value is Madrid. Again, France, Paris, Germany contains the Berlin, and Norway contains Oslo. Okay, if I print the type of this type Europe, it is a type of dictionary. So this is about dictionaries in Python. And now let's see object typecasting. So we have already did typecasting in Boolean, right? When we were calling the in function on a Boolean. Okay, so we have some functions here. We can use them for typecasting, right? So you can cast type of any object in Python. Common data typecasting functions include int for integer, float, string, bool for Boolean, that is true, false. And you can typecast any object through the following code. The given example is converted float to int. So we have a float 5.8 and we are converting to a integer. Sorry, casting it to integer. Okay. So here we have to convert 80 into float type and check its type. So here I will call the float function. Inside this float, I will pass this 80, and if I will assign it to a variable called f. Okay, and then I will print its type. Okay, let me call it print function here, and we will print also f variable. So as you can see, it is our integer 80 is casted to a float. Okay, and now convert 20.9 into a string and check its type. Okay, so for that I will say s equal to str, string I will call string, and here 20 point I will call 20.9. Okay, and here let me print s. Also I will print the type of s. Okay, so we have a 20.9 and I cast it to a string. Okay, and now let's convert a Boolean value into integer and check its type. So I have a Boolean variable called t and it contains true. Okay, and I will change it to a integer. Okay, and let me okay, and let me print its type. So I will say print type int. Okay, so yeah, I think okay, so here we have some error. It is saying incomplete input. Okay, and this is because now we are good, so we have missed only one parenthesis. Okay, so we have created a variable called t which is true, and inside this line of code, what we are doing, we are converting this t into integer, and then is printing its type. Okay, and if I print int t, so it gives us 1. So true is casted to 1. Okay, and now let's convert 1 2 3 string into float and check its type. So this is in single quoted. So for that I will create a variable called f, and it will contain 1 2 3. Okay, so its type is, it will be of string. I will print its type before converting it, and now I will convert it to a float. Okay, so let me make it as a s. Okay, Yeah, and now I will cast it to float. Okay, and again print its type. So before it was a string, and then we have cast it to a float, and when we print its type, it was a float value. Okay, and if I print f, so as you can see, it contains a float value. Now convert my car set into a list and check its type. So we have a set of my cars. If we go in the set section, so here we have a my car as a set, right? So we will cast it to a list. So if I call my cars, so my cars contain a values, these values, right? If I print its type, it is a set, and now we have to change its type into list. Okay, so for that I will call list function, and I will pass my cars inside here, right? And I will assign it to a variable called L. Okay, and now if I print L, so it is a list now. As you can see, it is inside the square brackets, and if I print its type, so it is a list. So this is how you can do object type casting, and this is about Python object and data structures. And if you have any confusion, you can leave your comment in the comment section, and kindly subscribe my channel, click on the bell icon, and also please like the video. Your likes and subscription motivate us to create nice videos for you guys.